Welcome back. Now let's dive in. So, what are the symptoms of approval addiction and how can this actually destroy or ruin people? I'm going to share some things with you, and I hope that at the end of this video, you will understand that there is a tendency for you to have some of these symptoms and you didn't even know about them, and also learn how you can probably manage them. So it's not a death sentence, right? You're not condemned if even if you spot these things. It's just to bring them to your attention, right? So the goal is not to make you feel terrible. The goal is not to make you feel like you have wasted your time or something. No, the goal is to bring knowledge to you. The goal is to bring something that you probably never knew existed to your attention and to let you see how you can actually manage them. Okay, let's go. So, what are these signs? So, first of all, when you begin to worry about what other people think, that's sign number one. You begin to worry about what other people think. Now, it doesn't mean that you should not be concerned about what people think about you, right? But you don't come to that point where that's what drives your life. That's what you live by. You're just concerned what people say. You'd find yourself at a point where it seems like your life has no direction, seems like you have no goal, you have no purpose for your life because all that you're concerned about before you do anything is what people say. May I ask you, is there any point in time that people don't talk? If you do good things, people will talk. If you do bad things, people will talk. So the real question that you might need to ask yourself is, why am I doing what I am doing? Number two is when you put other people's needs first. Now, when you put the needs of others first, it might just be a time for you to sit back and ask yourself, oh, hope I am not trying to seek the approval of people. Yeah. Now I just triggered some people because some of you believe that you have to put others first. I am not against that, but hey, when it becomes a lifestyle, when it becomes habitual, when it becomes something that you do every single time, then you need to check it out because at that point, there is a likelihood that it has become a lifestyle for you, right? So you may think that it's wonderful to put other people's needs first. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it is necessary. But hey, it can actually sniff or take oxygen out of you. So you need to find time to attend to your own needs. Now, when you realize that every time all your life you just want to put other people first, you want to satisfy them first before you are in trouble. That may just be a sign for you that you are dealing with approval addiction. Number three is going along. Remember in the last video, I talked about people who they are not interested in really winning or anything. They just want to go along. They just want to be part of something. They just want to belong somewhere. They want to belong to a community. If you find yourself in a situation where you just want to go along, right, then you have no idea of where you might be headed. You have no idea of what you have gotten yourself into. Going along with other people is when you have an opinion, you have an idea, but you don't want to rock the boat. So you keep it to yourself and you go along with what other people are saying or doing. Now, you're potentially going to cause more problems for yourself down the road because there is a disagreement with an ideology already, but you're just going along. You will get to a point where you'll be stuck and you may not be able to tell yourself really, why am I doing what I am doing? When we go along with other people in order to keep peace, we tend to actually create more war, either within ourselves or within the relationship that we have with other people. So there's no problem with you trying to be with people, trying to form associations, trying to be part of social groups and social gatherings. But hey, really ask yourself, am I going along because I believe in what they're saying, or I'm going along because I just want to be part of them? Some of you watching me right now are probably going along with people just because you don't want to be seen as the black sheep. You're probably holding on to that relationship just because you don't want to be seen as someone who is always living living one relationship or the other. You're in that group, WhatsApp group, Instagram group, just because your friends are joining groups, your friends have told you about it, and you don't want to seem left out. You don't want them to label you or to give you names. think about it. Reconsider why you're doing the things that you're doing. Ask yourself one pertinent question. Am I doing this thing because I don't want to miss out? Am I doing this thing because I want to be approved of others? Or am I doing this thing because I'm convinced that I should be doing it? Right. Let's move on quickly. Right. Speak your mind, yeah. Number 4, not having an opinion of your own. I have met people who don't have an opinion of themselves. They when you listen to them, you will know that whatever it is they are saying is a function of what they have heard other people say. You can't continue to live life that way, okay? If you are the type of person who tends to differ to other people's opinions, it's a sign that you might really be seeking approval, right? We would hold back our opinions or we feel uncomfortable sharing that opinion because we think that it might upset the other person or they may judge us in some way. But the truth of the matter is you cannot continue that way. You cannot be at that point where just because your opinion is different, you are not saying it because you're scared that people will term you as a terrible person. You're scared that people will give you a particular name. If you find yourself at that position, there is a problem. And this links to the next one, number 5, which is asking for other people's opinion before thinking about your own. The truth is, when you ask for people's opinion before thinking about your own, there is a likelihood that you would not have an opinion because their opinions would form the foundation or the bedrock of whatever thoughts that would come through your mind. And by the time you're trying to form your own opinion, you realize that you don't have any opinion any longer. Number 6, if you find yourself at that position where you change your stance easily or too often, you might begin to ask yourself if you're doing that because you're seeking approval of people. People who are very quick to change their words, people who are very quick to change their position, people who are very quick to change their principles and their ideologies and their values, oftentimes are those who are seeking the approval of others. And because of that, they really do not really have a stand. It's difficult to place them. When we do not feel confident in ourselves, when we are seeking the approval of other people, instead of approving of ourselves, we would often lean whichever way that person is leaning. That is where the problem is. So it will be difficult for you to have an opinion of yourself because you have found yourself at a point where you're quick to change your mind. And the truth of the matter is we like to mirror the people that we are wanting to get approval of or love from. And so if you're not careful, you will realize that because you're trying to be like someone, you're going to mirror the opinion of that person. And the moment you begin to mirror the opinion of that person, you find yourself at a point where you don't have a stance or you're quick to change your stance. And this goes to say that for those of you who have mentors that you follow them tooth and nail, or tooth and neck, or how do they used to say it, that anything they say you swallow without even questioning and checking if it is right. You might find yourself at this position when someday they say something that is not real or that is not true, and you have a different opinion about it, and probably have been sharing about that thing before them, but because someone that you seek love and approval from has said something, you then go ahead to change your stance. Why? Because you want to be approved. Right. Symptom 7 or number 7. Sometimes we find it difficult to take a stand on something that they believe in. And this is probably the pretty obvious one to most people. When you're approval seeking, you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to take a stand on passionate issues because you don't want to upset people. So you shy away from politics, you shy away from some personal topics, you shy away from some social topics. That is fine. You may have some principles about not commenting on certain issues. There are certain things that you bring to me that I wouldn't talk about within the social space. And there are certain things I would ask you, do you want to hear the real thing? Do you want to hear the truth and the fact? Or do you want me to rub your ego? Right here, so you can make decisions about not commenting on certain things. But the real question is, what is your stand at certain points in time about certain issues? Right. So sometimes it's difficult, I agree, to talk about certain things that you believe in. But I think the wisdom here is to know when to talk about them and when to keep quiet. You are not expected to talk every time. And nobody has said you must talk every time. So it's important that you know when to talk and when to keep quiet. Number eight, becoming the chameleon. What does If you know what the animal chameleon is all about, it changes colors, right? And if you're saying that a person is becoming a chameleon, is when you're changing, you feel very um, insecure, and you apply the things that we have been talking all about, that just because we have said these things, then you're quick to change without really having a reason for changing. So you will be a chameleon if everything I have said to this point, you are seeing that you are changing, not because you've seen any reason to change, but just because you believe that you have to change. Why do you have to change? I mean, some years ago, I saw a chameleon and a snake fight. Very, very funny fight at that. And so the chameleon took the color, changed to the color of the snake, and it was very fascinating because the snake wanted to attack the chameleon, and that was when I learned that I don't know how true that is. That there is something that the chameleons emit from their body or something. But it became interesting to me because I saw that the color of the snake and the color of the chameleon became identical, right? So why do you think chameleons change color? Do they have a reason for doing that? I don't know. But like I said, if you're feeling insecure, and if you're not loving and approving of yourself, you're not in a healthy place. There is a likelihood for you to pick up mannerisms and to fashion your life after those around you because you want them to accept you. And the danger with this is that you begin to have a low sense of self-worth. You don't have any regard for yourself anymore. So it is who people say you are that you really become, and it is what they say you are that you really are. Now, number 9 says getting sick or offended when others disagree with you. We must live our lives in a way that we are open to disagreements. If you live a life where people agree with everything that you say at every point in time, or you agree with what people say at every point in time, then there is a problem. The world will be a boring place if we all agree with what other people have said. The fact that we disagree with people is why we have an interesting world. The world is not a place to be boring, so you don't have to accept what people have said, rather, right? So don't go out there and because someone has said something, you just have to agree. No, it is okay to disagree with what people have said, but when you find yourself at that point where you get offended and you get sick and you get hurt because people have disagreed with you, you know what I mean? Right. And then this leads to the next one, which is over explaining yourself. So because you want, sometimes I might be guilty of this, right? I don't think so. So I try to explain things to people because I want them to actually understand why I want them to do that thing, right? So that they don't give the excuse that they didn't know that they should have done it this way or something, right? So when you find yourself over explaining, right, you just might want to sit back and ask yourself, why am I even over explaining? If somebody says something to the contrary of what you're thinking or trying to do, if you feel they need to explain and over explain and justify, this is often a sign or symptom of seeking approval from other people, or of approval addiction, right? When you feel confident in yourself, you do not feel the need to explain or over explain yourself. You don't feel the need to justify that what you're doing because you already feel good about it. Sometimes we over explain things, and in over explaining things, sometimes we over apologize, right? To keep apologize. Of course, it's okay to feel sorry. It's okay to feel apologetic. It's okay to seek the forgiveness of other people. But the point is, you don't need to keep apologizing over and over. You need to get to a point where you forgive yourself and you've apologized and you move on. Okay. And then there is the other one called passive aggressiveness. Now, when I say someone is being aggressive, you know what that means, right? Now, when I say someone is being passive aggressive, it's usually deep, right? And it's deep in the sense that you may find yourself at that point where you feel that there is a need uh, for you to say what you want to say or express yourself, but instead you hold back. Now, why do you hold back sometimes? You hold back because you're afraid of what the other person might think. You hold back because you don't want to crash something. And then sometimes you hold back because you don't want to suffer rejection, right? So you're aggressive, but you're passively aggressive. Whew. Number 13, feeling shame around your knowledge and your skills. Don't be ashamed of your knowledge and your skills. Don't let people talk you down. Don't do it just because own your craft. Okay. When you find yourself being ashamed of your skills because you think that people would judge you, you find yourself being ashamed of your skills and your knowledge because you're afraid that you're going to make other people feel bad, right? It's important that you realize that you need to share your gifts with other people. You need to share your skill and share your knowledge with other people. Don't be ashamed of what you know. Don't be shy to share what you know, right? Own it, right? It's your gift. Own it with your full chest. We're almost done. Not complaining when you need to complain. That's number 14. So, there may be times that you don't need to complain or you just need to accept something, but then you're complaining. But there are also times when it's okay for you to complain, right? You are not enjoying what is happening, and instead of keeping it to yourself, right, say it out. When you go to the restaurant and the waiter does something that you don't like, or there's something in the food, you will complain, won't you? Right. But when people do things to you, you just accept and move on. Why? Because you want them to accept you? You want them to approve of you? Nah. If things are not properly done to you and you keep it all to yourself because you don't want them to disown you or something, then you're not being loving to yourself. You're not being truthful to yourself. Okay, so when people do things that you don't like and you think you should complain about it, do complain about it, right? It's not that you're weak and it's not that you don't know what you're doing, but it's because you need to express how you feel, and in making that complaint, you're able to change things. The reason why changes don't occur a lot of times is because we have come to accept the norm. We have come to accept the abnormal as the norm, and so the abnormal becomes the norm. But if 2, 3, 4, 5, 50 persons complain, then change would come. Finally, I mean, I just hear that it's okay to offend people. We're human. We are mortals. We make mistakes. We make errors. So it's okay to offend people. Don't be scared to offend people. Yes, avoid it, right? But should it happen, please, please, please don't beat yourself over it. Do what needs to be done, apologize, and move on. Finally, and this I say happen a lot of times, don't rely on the praises of people as a source of energy. Don't be energized or motivated to do something because someone has praised you or people have praised you. No. If you ever catch yourself fishing for compliments, fishing for praise, and then just wrapping yourself up in it and kind of wallowing in it in a good way to make yourself feel good, to feel energized, to get motivated, this is just a sneaky sign of approval addiction. Go out there, source for your energy from your drive, the reason why you started what you're doing in the first place. Why are you doing it? Look for a different source of energy. Don't let your source of energy be the praise that you receive from people. Don't let your source of energy be the encomiums that you get from people. Locate what will be your source of energy and let that be. Do you need to spend time with yourself to study? Do you need to spend time with yourself to understand yourself? Do you need to hang out with people and have conversations for you to be motivated? Do what needs to be done. But you see, when you sit down to receive the praise of people as a source of energy, at the end of the day, when you don't get it, you don't. So two things happen when you don't get it. Your energy is deflated. You have nothing to drive you, and the repercussion is that you would want to do things so that people would praise you, rather than do things because you're convinced that you should do them. All right. So I hope that you understand that this is not to make you feel terrible or horrible, but to bring to you or to give a name to certain things that you have been doing before now that you might not even understand why you are doing them. So I'll summarize or conclude by saying that of all these things that I have listed, there is none that is above the other, and there is none that is below another. And so if you found yourself, or if you realize that you exhibit some of these symptoms that I have shared with you today, like I said, it's not a curse or a death sentence. You can adjust, right? So what I would say is spend time with yourself. Understand why you're doing the things that you're doing, right? Check the things that you do and ask yourself, are there times that I do this just because I want people to praise me? Or are there times that because people did not praise me, I got deflated, and because of that I didn't do anything again, right? And make amends. And if you think that you need to get someone to work with you in terms of be who you really should be, don't hesitate to reach out, all right? And you can send a mail to the contact on the screen as much as possible. Someone will reach out to you once you send that email. Follow me on social media at Toluse Francis on Instagram and on Twitter. Again, if this is your first time, please comment on this video and do share with your friends. So thank you for joining me today. Till I come your way again, be your very best. Catch ya.